Welcome to the webinar today, Getting on the GSA Schedule, being presented by the knowledgeable Jan Ziegler, industry liaison with the GSA. Marie will give a little bit more information about our speaker today. I'm Allie Stevens, Outreach and Events Manager with the SBDC at UNF. Friendly reminder, in case you are unfamiliar with the SBDC and the PTAC program, who's presenting this, we're part of a statewide network and our mission is to help your small businesses grow and succeed. We do this by offering training and webinars like the one you're on today, but also by providing no-cost confidential consulting on topics spanning all aspects of business management and growth and procurement with Marie, which she'll get into in a little bit. I just want to talk about a couple little housekeeping pieces. If you have any questions or comments or concerns or suggestions throughout the presentation, type them into your question section. The chat function doesn't really work for attendees. That's just for us to connect with you. So if you have questions, type them in the question section. We'll get to them either throughout the presentation or at the very end. We'll have time for Q&A as well. This is being recorded, so you will be sent a link to the recording at the close of the webinar, along with a survey. We live and breathe by our surveys and feedback from attendees like yourself. It helps us continually provide effective programming for you, the business owners. So I'm going to hand it over to Marie Mishker, our Procurement Technical Assistant Specialist, and take it away.
Okay, thanks, Allie. Good morning, everyone. Just so thrilled that you're all here today for our topic on doing business with the GSA. I am just thrilled to be able to introduce to you Jan Ziegler. Jan serves in the state of South Carolina, so she joins us from the great state of South Carolina and is a GSA Customer Service Director and primarily as the Region 4 Case Industry Liaison. She's worked over 25 years in this arena, so with federal, state, and local government agencies and business leaders in different organizations to facilitate as a solutions provider and trusted advisor. And that's really key. Just keep that in mind for today's training in solving all acquisitions and requisitions. She continues to work strategically with many federal agencies. So the agencies such as the Department of Army, the Army Corps of Engineers and Air Force, so that's the DoD world, and also civilian agencies such as the Department of Energy and the Veterans Administration. Jan earned an associate degree from Central Carolina College in Business Management and holds a master's certificate in government contracting from George Washington University and a master's certificate in project management from George Washington University. Jan currently resides in Sumter, South Carolina, supporting growth of her local community. It gives me great honor to introduce Miss Jan. Jan, I am so thrilled that you are able to present to the University of North Florida PTAC clients and people within the state of Florida the knowledge on how to do business with GSA. I can't tell you the number of inquiries I'm getting. Hey, what about these schedules? You know, how do I get one? You know, what kind of industry areas do they cover? And, you know, what kind of resources are available? And we're just grateful that you're our resource and you're able to present today. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Jan. Everyone, if you have questions, please put them in the questions box. And as Jan goes through her slides, we'll be bringing those questions up.
Oh, thank you. I am so humbled by all of that. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for having me. It is our goal at GSA to make all of you as small business owners equitable in government acquisition. And that's a big statement. We've done a lot of things in the past few years to try to make it look more even across the board and make sure that we're representing you guys. I have been a customer service director and I have sat in contracting offices in all those organizations. And so a few years ago when they asked me if I would like to take over working with all the small businesses or just being the industry liaison in general, I said, of course I would. I am a huge small business advocate. I am so proud of everyone that is on the call. What you do is amazing. I am in awe of it, and you're just what makes America go around. So kudos and congratulations, and clap my hands for you, all of you. Now today, we know at GSA, first let me tell you that I've got a lot of government service, but I have spent 25 years in this group, okay? So I kind of know what's expected and what to tell you about how to get through not just doing business with GSA, but doing business with the federal government, because it's been recognized that you guys often can feel like it's daunting, like you are staring into a contracting office or you're looking at a solicitation and it's in a room with, this is my analogy, with those blackout curtains, and you're going, what the heck is going on in there? So I'm here to pull the curtains back, shed a little sunlight, put some tools in your toolbox for it doesn't matter what you do. Okay, I'm going to tell you that the federal government, you heard it from me, buys everything, okay? It might be unconventional sometimes, the different routes, maybe not GSA, but we have advice to get you through whatever you sell into the federal government somehow, even if it's through like fees in the exchange stores, in the commissaries, if you're doing that kind of thing. So there's different ways, morale, welfare, and recreation. And then, of course, on my end, and I'm going to explain to you about GSA and the agencies that it includes so that everybody here feels like there is a place. You're going to hear me talk to you today about number one, readiness. You'll hear me use that word number of times. Am I ready to do business with the federal government? Am I ready to have a GSA schedule? Am I ready? And I'm going to tell you about the marketing strategies and things you need to do and give you a whole bunch of tools today that will help you kind of know that. I have found in working, when I've worked with thousands of small businesses and government agencies. So let me say this to you. I have found that piece, that being ready, having your stuff ready, having your company ready, kind of knowing who your customer is and your audience is so key, so you can be a solution provider. And once you're in, they will begin to trust you. We're going to talk about, I want to explain, I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay, all right, hold on. We were presenting just fine, so let's go back to it. Oh no.
Did you click on the PowerPoint itself, Jan? And then hit the arrow button to move through the presentation?
Okay, all right, here we go. I think this is what we can stop right here. Okay. Now, I'm not a slide reader, so you're going to hear me talk a lot, okay? So let me talk to you before we go to a few bullets on here about GSA. Now, GSA, of course, my side of the house is Federal Acquisition Service. We handle things like GSA schedules, category management. We handle many things. And of course, the GSA Multiple Award Schedule program. We handle that for all commercial products and services. And that's thousands of those things. But there's another side to the house, and I can't see the list, but if anybody on here does construction or real estate or anything like that, well, then what you need to know is there's another side to the house that might be a whole big marketing piece or a land of opportunity that you might be missing out on, and that's called GSA Public Building Service. So a lot of people don't realize that GSA Public Building Service owns more real estate and properties than anybody else in the United States of America, all right? So when you pass by those federal buildings and you pass by your national forest and wildlife parks and those things, usually all of that real estate is either leased or owned by GSA. So having said that, there's a whole market on that side, and a real easy way, which I'm going to show you or talk to you about in just a few minutes, to find out who's managing these properties, Who's managing those buildings? If you do roofing, if you do, the one thing on my side that we don't do is construction from the ground up. So for example, a new federal courthouse, we would not be involved on that side for the construction of it, all right? But we would be involved in everything that goes on the inside, just not on the ground up construction. That's handled by PBS. But those are big opportunities, and I'll show you the page in a few minutes where you can learn like the new things. There's one going up in Alabama. There's a new courthouse in that's going up in Mississippi. And the reason I'm saying that is because those are usually handled by prime contractors, and then hundreds of subcontracting opportunities branch out under that. So, and that's a good way to build, keyword, past performance history, all right, which is a key thing in the federal government.
So Jan, just to let you know, we do have one company that provides training and development services. We do have another company that does focus on roofing, and we have another company that focuses on data migration and cleanup.
Okay, so here's what we're going to, so this, right. So this side, like for the person, the company that does roofing, you're going to be in two places. If you need to find out what's going on the PBS side, I'm going to show you that real quick. And then you're going to learn today on my side of the federal acquisition side, why you might need a GSA schedule and how we can make this work for you so you can get some federal government contracts. Okay, now back to this slide for a minute. The only thing I'm going to talk about, this is a really good slide, but I'm not going to go over the whole thing. But that very first sentence says it all. We have to be a team. And I consider every one of you on the GSA team, on the federal government team. We're going to share ideas and best practices throughout the country. And for you, of course, North Florida. And we're going to make partnerships. We're just going to make this thing work. Okay. These are just some more reasons that people use GSA or things we're doing at GSA. The piece right there about sustainable government, for any of you, just know that is huge. So stay on top of any government news about that. Okay. Leading with innovation. I thought I heard technology in there. We are really opening the door up for emerging technologies and putting people on schedule like that. All right. And the part about developing better value and savings is for our government customers, because what we're trying to do is give them let them find all of you as a small business. Okay. And then we want to streamline a way. That's why we talk about being on GSA schedule. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Okay. Now there is another office. This is your advocate. If any of you have bigger issues, problems, things you feel like have not gone well for you as a small business, there is an Office of Small Business Utilization. You will have Chastity Ash runs that, and for our region. So I will give you her name and email and everything there's a slide at the end. Now, a while ago, like for our person that does roofing, this is the page. You will have this on the PowerPoint when you get it, okay? Talking about going to Welcome to the Southeast Sunbelt. I actually give you a thing, but you can see where it lists all the buildings. So that's important because these are all things that involve in a list of all the buildings. You could click on Florida and you're going to know who handles all those properties. Inside of there are building managers. All right, this, for example, this is what the Florida page would look like. This is not complete. This is a screenshot. But if you see right here where it says Property Management Center, that'll give you a name of a person that you can market to and learn all the business opportunities that go along with any requirements that are coming up for roof repair, roofing, and those kind of things. Now, for especially for the person that does roofing right now, or anybody else on the line, one of the things, I don't have a slide in here, but I will tell you that you need to go to FEMA anytime. There's two different programs in Florida that everybody uses that are also state and local. All right, this is for everybody. And this is one of the advantages to having a GSA schedule. We have two programs. One's called cooperative purchasing, where any security services or any IT services, the state can use that 365 days a year, state using our federal contracts. All right. The other is called disaster purchasing. So when the president of the United States, like what just happened in Florida, unfortunately, once they declare that, they can buy anything. They can do roofing, they can be repairs, they could use services, they can use IT repair, anything. All right. And this is another reason to have a GSA schedule. But even if you're not on GSA, please list your company with FEMA.gov. All right. And you could just go to FEMA.gov and list your company. All right. And that also, I don't think we have anybody on today that does real estate, but I always tell our real estate folks too, especially in Florida, just make sure you're listed in on FEMA.gov as a small business, because during these times they start looking for places to lease new buildings and start placing people in different places. Now we're going to.
So
Yes.
It sounds like the GSA handles a lot of real estate and products, but what about those companies that handle services and training and development? Do they also have schedules for them?
Oh, yes. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. We're transitioning. That's a great transition. Thank you so much. So now what we're going to do, I just make people aware of that because they're not. But here's the gist of it. And we're going into this right now. GSA has what we call our MAS schedule program. We used to have 27 schedules, all right, that covered all the things that she just mentioned. All right. We had 27 schedules, and 7 of those were medical, like people that had medical products or whatever. We took our end of it. I think it was like 23. It would be IT, professional services, consulting, all of that. And we rolled it into one schedule. It's called MAS schedule. There's no, you may in the past have heard of IT schedule 70, for example, or 899 for environmental. We don't do that anymore. We have one schedule. It's called the MAS schedule. Now, why would it be important for you to be on it? There are, with all the government agencies now, more and more, especially for the rest, most of you have professional services. This is really directed to you. Very important that you at least look into this, because there are strategic sourcing in places by federal government agencies that say you need to try to use a GSA schedule. Well, we need to find some quotes from those already on schedule first before we go open market. Like most of you now, or if you're not on GSA, you will go to sam.gov, okay, and you'll be looking for those jobs, those opportunities that are open where your business can qualify, or things that you can bid on. What is happening though is people on GSA schedule are on a different system. They are also privy to both, but we have our own internal request for quote system called GSA eBuy, not eBay, but eBuy. So what happens is, once you have an MAS schedule, you're in there. We have vetted your company. We know your financials. We know your unique ID identifier, your tax ID numbers, your financials. We've made sure you have fair and reasonable pricing. And it is a process, but you go in the system, and then once you're awarded your GSA number, you will see where you start getting notifications from eBuy, people that where all these opportunities for, they are actual requests for information and requests for quotes, and they go in a system. And the problem for me is that I feel like you guys are missing business opportunities, okay? Because you're not ever going to see those unless they call you, or unless they can't get enough quotes and they come over to sam.gov. Well, why would a government agency want to even do that? Well, the ones you see in sam.gov, there are different contract types, and we're just not going to go all into the contracting side of this, that where they don't use GSA, such as a small business set aside, something like that. Those will go over, always go in sam.gov. And also, a lot of people don't realize that most of the opportunities in sam.gov, the value of those are $25,000 in height. Okay, SAM can be a difficult system, but it can also be a great system. We're going to talk about doing market research later, but I'm going to show you and talk to you how you can find your customers through that system. All right, but for now, we're talking about looking at an actual solicitation. Now, talking about the schedules, all right, for a minute, and then we'll keep going with the slides. There is one schedule, excuse me, but there's 12 categories. And those 12 categories, you'll see the list in a few minutes, cover everything that you just asked, that you guys are asking about. All right. So there is a home for everybody that's on this line with a GSA schedule. Another thing I'm going to talk to you about quickly too will be the fact that we have taken everything that you need to do to get on GSA schedule, because you're going to hear, oh, we've heard it's difficult, that there's so much paperwork. Well, it's not that I'm not going to pretend like there's not paperwork you're going to have to do or time set aside. Of course, there's no charge for, you'll hear me offer you one-on-one services all day long. Okay, no charge. We do the same as a PTAC. We're a no fee. I can consult with you and do one-on-one calls to help get you through it. That's number one. Number two, everything now is on a roadmap and on one page that I'm going to show you today that will take some of the ease out of the situation. But we have to do that by going through some of the steps that I'm going to show you, because you have to be ready. You got to be ready to do business with the federal government, number one, and you have to be ready when you get ready to do a GSA schedule. So staying organized, but there are some benefits at the end. So now here's what we're going to talk about today. Let me go through this, and then we're going to talk more about actually how to do it. One of the things that we have updated, whether you're on GSA or not, is important when you deal with the federal government to have access to video libraries and document libraries and just learning the ropes. Well, they have updated this vendor toolbox. It stays updated now. They're going to start having live chats on here. So I highly recommend it. And you'll see a page with the website for that. I would tell you, when I show you that page, I'm going to tell you to put it in your favorites, because this is a way to have something that you can always depend on. We're going to learn how to understand being on and applying for a GSA schedule. We're going to talk about how we determine if you qualify for a GSA schedule, application registration, and your certifications, meaning by now you should be in sam.gov and you should know I'm a woman-owned, I'm a veteran-owned, I'm a small business, I'm a big business, I'm service disabled. You should know and have those certifications through small business, okay? That's part of the readiness part of it. I think we'll talk about solicitations, and I think I just did. I like to explain the difference between a solicitation for actual work versus the open solicitation that we have at GSA that stays open all the time. It is a tool for you to use to make your company grow. It is, okay? So that's the difference. Ours is not for work, it's for a tool, but it's the same process, same type of information. And a solicitation, such as the ones you see on SAM, might be for actual work, okay? And then I'm going to show you some small business resources. Now, a GSA schedule, so that we all are on the same page, all right? It is an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, and the government lingo acronym for this is an IDIQ contract, okay? But it is a long-term contract. It's what we call an evergreen contract. When you get on GSA schedule, you're good for the first 5 years with 3 5-year options. So that tool, if you're working it and making sales, then that tool can last you for 20 years, all right? And you won't have to redo it, all right? The GSA schedule provides fast, flexible, cost-effective procurement solutions. So the reason they strategically strategically source and say, try to use one of these schedules, one of the GSA schedules versus open market, is because we've already vetted all your information. A contracting officer, once you're in, they don't go back and do all that again and ask you for it again, okay? They don't. They put you in place, and they know you're already in place. They know your pricing is being monitored and keeping you where you're making a profit. Everything is there. So they can make awards in weeks, days, weeks, or months if it's a huge one, versus over here on the other side, when it goes open market, it can sometimes take 6 months to a year to make awards like that. Okay, so that is the reason, and it saves them time. It helps when they have lack of manpower and things like that. So that's the reason people may be asking your company, are you on GSA schedule? Because of that, okay? Actually, the GSA schedules are representing overall federal procurement spending. That number is no longer 21%. It's somewhere between 34 and 50%. So it's growing, and it grows every day. So that's another reason to consider it. And know this, and this statement is for everybody on the phone, whether you are doing business, if you're on GSA schedule or not, just doing business with the federal government. It is a lot of learning, and you need to, it does require commitment. We used to have this brochure a long time ago. And I don't know whatever happened to it, but it's probably 25 years ago, but I loved it because it would say 7 ways to be successful. And then it would say market 7 times. Okay. And it's true. We have to know how to market. We have to know how to target the customers. And listen, with the internet, we just have a wide open field now of knowing expiring contracts. So all of those that are offering services, knowing expiring contracts, what's going to expire in 23, what's going to expire in 24. It's amazing. All right. So it does require that and effort to be successful. We've already talked about some of these, but this slide is just for you to have when you get back home, like I'm in person. Sorry, but it is for you to keep food for thought. And if you ever get stuck about what in the world is a GSA schedule, then now you'll remember, you'll have the recording and you're going to have the definitions. Now, here's the things to consider before you get on GSA schedule. And what I found over the last 3 years in doing this intensely is this. People will call and say, we lost our GSA schedule. Or they'll call and say, I got my GSA schedule. Now, what do I do with it? Okay. But one of the main reasons that people get their GSA schedule and then over a number, like 2 or 3 years later, lose it or it gets terminated is because of the information that is on this slide. I think it's important to know this going in. You have to meet minimum qualifying sales. So in other words, once you get on GSA schedule, you'll need to do 25,000 in sales. Now that sales means everybody on the phone should know all of your North American industry codes. We call them NAICS codes. Okay, that's the acronym, but you should know those. So when you say GSA, I'm going to sell whatever falls under this NAICS code, and you tell us what you're going to sell, then you need to do 25,000 against that NAICS code, and you don't have to use just one. Many of you have multiples, okay? So I heard training and consulting. I mean, some people do multiple things like that under professional services. You got to make sure, though, that you list all the NAICS codes and say, here's what I'm going to do against that, okay? So 25,000 in the first 2 years of having the GSA schedule, and then 25,000 a year thereafter. Now, it is not GSA, well, it is a GSA rule, but it's because it is, excuse me, it is federally mandated in the Federal Acquisition Regulation, which is our big Bible for how we do everything. And it says the government may cancel your schedule in accordance with that clause, but that deals with minimum sales criteria. Okay, you will be given an electronic funds transfer system, the only thing we have that runs on a calendar year, but at the end of each quarter, if you don't have any sales, you just report 0. And then if you do have sales, you will pay an industrial funding fee, which is very low. It's 0.75% on the dollar. All right. So you will include that in the whatever price you're negotiating at the end. So you don't have to worry about it. If you make a low sale, it's not a big deal. But if you have a sale, it is. So we'll talk about pricing as we go along. But you have to be very careful about it. All right. Now, talk about the one thing, there is time involved. It doesn't cost anything. We don't make people send off for their past performances with customers anymore. That used to be outsourced to a separate company through Dun & Bradstreet, but we don't anymore. So there's no charge. All the charges for digital certificates and all that gone away. Okay. Everything will be done on electronic, what we call an e-offer. All right. So, and I will show you how to find out about that too. All right. But it does take time to get on GSA schedule, but it doesn't take 18 to 24 months. Right now, the average time is between 120 and 180 days. That's what they're reporting. That people, as long as you have all the information correct and everything's matching up, like for example, you want to make sure you go in SAM, make sure your unique identity identifier, your tax ID numbers, your addresses, everything matches. All of this will be vetted and verified. So you want to make sure that all of that is correct. And I'm here to help you with that. We're all here to help you make sure and be a second set of eyes, making sure that everything's correct. But we try to get it as correct as we can. I cannot legally help you or give you answers, but I can say that isn't what they meant by that, or you didn't fill that in properly, that kind of thing. Okay. But it is averaging, according to the folks at the category management centers, between 120 and 180 days, which is a great improvement. All right. And this is a real good time of year to do this too. Okay. We just got through with end of year. All those contracts for last year have been closed and awarded. So it's a really good time to do this right now. Okay. Oops. Okay. Now this is just the website. We're not going to go over this again, but this is part of, gives you access to what's called a readiness assessment. And it also gives you the website for the vendor toolbox. Now, readiness assessment, I do advise that people do it. You're not required to do it, but I think if you're new to the federal government market, it's a good thing to do. And you know what that involves? That involves you knowing how much money is being spent on what you sell. Okay. And that's great. And I can always help you with that too. All right. So that's a great thing now. Now, a little bit more information about schedules. We do have 50 to 75 million supplies and services that are listed on our programs, such as GSA Advantage. Now, there's two things at GSA that don't require passwords. We are the federal government, so all knowledge is power, and public. All right. So, for example, if you're selling a product, you could go online to the GSAadvantage.gov. We're always .gov. There is another mock system that a long time ago that's .com, but we're never .com anything. We're always .gov. Now, that is a great tool for you, and you don't need a user ID and password, because you could put your products in the search block. You could put a manufacturer in the search block. You could put a part number in there. And see who else is selling what you're selling. Could be you're selling something to the federal government and you don't find it. That would give you a niche. That's another good reason to be in there. And understand that that system is global. It's a global system. All right. So, and it's also a good way to see what your competition is. So if you sold something where there's a lot of people selling, let's just say chairs. All right. That wouldn't be the world's biggest thing, but there are a lot of vendors that chairs. So you know the particular type. You're selling those. You go in there and you search it. Gives you a good bird's eye view. You click on it. It's going to tell you all the companies that are selling it. And the price will go from high to low. All right. Good intel there. Good intel there. And also those companies that sell the same thing you do, it just gives you a good idea. That might be where the customers are going and people that you can market to. All right, we're going to learn some tools to find out who that is. All right, so, and then we have another one page called the GSA e-library. So for all of you that do services or technical things or IT or roofing or whatever it is, this is for everybody. This is where every single GSA contract is housed. It's housed in that system. So you can go over there and type your NAICS code in, click on your NAICS code. It'll bring up all the vendors that already fall under that NAICS code that have GSA schedules. And I'm telling you this for two reasons. Number one, if you're trying to just build past performance history with the federal government, okay, remember you can do a template letter or something and try to go to every single person that's doing what you're doing to offer to be a subcontractor, all right? And I highly advise that. And I know yesterday I had a very long conversation that someone that was very concerned about it. They're very concerned, what if they see me as a subcontractor, they'll never see me as a prime. That is not true. This is a way, I promise you, that contracting does not view it that way. It views as you trying to get past performance history, okay? So go in that system and you'll see everybody. So that's number one. I told you there were two things. The other thing is when you click on your NAICS code and you see all these people, if you're wondering what their prices are or what a GSA negotiated contract looks like, go all the way to the right on that list of those vendors. There's going to be a paper icon right there. And what it'll do is open up their GSA scheduled contract. It is public knowledge because they usually, almost everybody puts their price list on there. That gives you a real good idea. This is all for your use in developing readiness, pricing, deciding if this is the way you want to go. But remember, when you see their price list, you're looking at what's called a ceiling price, okay? A ceiling price. That ceiling price means that they took the price where it was making money for them. So it might be, let's say, I know somebody said consulting. They may list all the different types they have. They'll list hourly wages, or sometimes contractors will ask for a flat fixed fee, but that gives you an idea where that's going, all right? And in their price, they've included that industrial funding fee, 0.75% on top of all that, because you legally can't ask the federal government customer or your customer in general for that 0.75 or add it as separate. You can't. So what you're looking at might be their price is called a ceiling price. And put that in there, maybe any 2 to 3% discount they can offer. They've given themselves flexibility is what I'm trying to say. Okay. But this is why it makes it public knowledge, because a lot of people will say, Jen, how's it legal for us to look at everybody else's prices? Because that's their ceiling price. The highest by contract they can go, not the lowest. Okay, remember that. By law, it's the highest unless they modify, but not the lowest. All right, so that's kind of an explanation about that. The MAS consolidation, we talked about that already. We have one GSA schedule, MAS, that's it, and 12 major categories. We have now, this number has increased. I'll tell you that there's probably 15,000 to 16,000 people now on GSA schedule. All right. 84.3% of these contracts all are awarded of the MAS contracts. The number is 84.3 now that are awarded and put in place for small businesses. Okay. That's our way. And that's really why the GSA schedule program was developed in the first place, was to help protect our small business owners and make everything equitable. So when we award you a GSA MAS schedule, we are awarding to small businesses 84.3%. All right. And this number for we're in FY23 now, fiscal year 23. It started 1 October. But for FY22, you're going to see that that number escalated to over $100 billion in government sales. And a lot of that money, the two top places where the money goes, one is professional services and the other is IT. The biggest is IT, information technology. Okay. Any questions? Are there any questions at this point?
Yeah, Jan, there is one just at a very high level. You've kind of been, people have been putting questions in and we've been covering them, but at a very high level, this is a very amazing slide, you know, about GSA schedules. And so you've talked about the strategies on using the library. Can you just kind of go over just one more time how to use the library with regards to strategy, and then, you know, subcontracting? So a company, a company would go to the library, they type in their NAICS code, they'd look for their commodity, either a product and or service. And service could be anything from IT to roofing to professional services. And then what?
Okay. So the GSA library, and also I was going to tell you, it also has a standalone link. You can just Google GSA library if you don't want to do GSA Advantage, which is what I kind of do. I mean, it like stays on my computer all the time. But the GSA library is good. We recommend it for subcontracting opportunities. We try to let people have as much information as they can. So it's very user friendly though, which I absolutely love, okay? There are links on the very front page of it that can take you to other sites or help you with NAICS codes. I'm going to show you some of this as we go along. But here's the importance of the GSA library for everybody that's considering being on GSA schedule. Number one, you may say, well, just what kind of information are they going to ask me for? Well, when you go in there, you can type, if you know a competitor even, you can single it out like that. But I advise putting in your NAICS code, all right, in the search block. It's one page, put it in there. Now, right underneath that search block, you are absolutely going to see, if you want more information about getting into your particular category and what it covers, you can click it. So in other words, if you hit IT, it's going to bring up products, services, everything related, cybersecurity, all these different things, so you can get more and more and more information. All right. So remember, search block, and then right underneath, there's the 12 major categories. But for searching for subcontracting opportunities, the best way to do this, or just to find out how many people in the federal government actually have contracts, or to look at other contractors' contracts, you click, put your NAICS code in there, and when the next page pops up, you'll see your NAICS code. It's usually in red or blue, it's highlighted, and you will click on it. It brings up a whole list of vendors that are already on GSA schedule. Gives you their names, their phone numbers, their addresses, all kind of, even links you to their websites. All right, so it's just a vat of information. But what I recommend for people to build up past performance history, especially for including, I should not say especially for, but including startups. Let's say you have less than 2 years, because the federal government's tough on that with contracting. They say you need to be in SAM.gov, you need to have 2 years of past performance history, all right, meaning sales. You don't have to have past performance history, by the way, with just government. You can also do it in the commercial world, as long as what you're selling matches this NAICS code, all right? But for this purpose in the federal government, the way to get your foot in the door is to take that list of those vendors and do a template letter, however you want to do it, and ask people, you know, go to each one and say, we're here, we're in Florida. You can pick the ones you want. We're here. We are interested in being a subcontractor, collaborating with you. If you're in Arizona, I can do the work under this NAICS code in Florida. Okay, so you're offering what you're selling to build up past performance history. Now, the next piece, the little icon that looks like it falls under a heading called terms and conditions. So you wouldn't really suspect that is their GSA contract, but it is, all right? And when you click on it, it's very good for the readiness part. It's very good for you, even if you see something on SAM and you want to do a solicitation, it helps you understand what exactly they're looking for. Terms, conditions, size of your company, what your limits are, your qualifying limits, financial documentation, everything. It's all in those contracts. And when you look over there at those companies, you're going to notice that first you're looking at the company's information, and then you're going to see the NAICS codes they sell, and you say, oh, I sell that. Well, keep looking, because it's going to start with question 1A, 1B, 1C, so on, 2, and so on. Those are the same questions that you're going to be asked, not only to get a GSA schedule, but on a regular solicitation for work, okay? So it's very telling. Are you going to include shipping? What is your destination area? Just anything, all right? What are your contract terms? What are your payment terms? All these things, there's explanations. There's a lot of information to be gained without having to have user IDs and passwords, just alone from the e-library. So does that help a little bit?
Awesome, Jan. That is just perfect. And we got it on video, so it's locked in forever and ever.
Okay, well, all right, and let me offer this. If you ever want to do a separate class on using GSA e-tools and market tools such as FPDS and all of this, I'll be glad to do that. That takes another hour or so, but I can do it live, and people can throw me their NAICS codes, and we can look it up and find them live examples and customers.
You know what, Jan? I'm going to take you up on that right now. I'm going to say yes. I know my peeps would love for you to do that. So
Yes.
you, Allie, and I will talk about that and schedule something for the new fiscal year in 2020.
Oh, great.
Okay.
That'll be awesome.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, we've already gone over every one of these reasons, but this is a slide to help you if you're deciding about being on GSA schedule. These are the reasons, and this is just reiterating what we've already talked about. These are some examples of some of the categories. Lodging, travel, transportation, professional services is huge. We'll talk to you about that one. Information technology and office supplies. It's now called office management. So there's a lot. Vehicles, furniture. So there's a whole lot. These are some of the things that the categories cover. Those 12 categories cover. So it's almost everything, all right, that people would want or need. Now, how do we decide who gets a GSA schedule? How do they decide, even if you're not on GSA, how they're awarding a solicitation or awarding a bid on something? These are some things that they look at. All right, financial stability, minimum of 2 years in business. Remember, that's a foot stopping moment because that is one of the important things in government contracting. Now, not to worry, if you're a startup with less, we can work on those past performance things that we just got done talking about to get you there. And at the end of this, you're also going to hear me talk about one new program and one that's already there called springboarding. Okay, where you can get a GSA schedule in 90 days for startups, all right? So, products must be commercially available and then meet the TAA, which is the Trade Agreement Act. That I would advise anybody that's selling a product that mostly applies, it applies to everything. There's also a new rule, the 899 law, that talks about electronics. If you sell things like headphones or electronics, there's certain ones, they've added some more countries for that. So you'll have questions when you're doing the GSA schedule, or you may see it on a solicitation. So just if you run into that, you can always call me or call the PTAC office and we'll try to figure that out. Now, once you have it, remember qualifying sales, industrial funding fee, there will be audits and setup requirements. It is, when you target the federal government, it's a whole market. So there is some demand of your time. There is the award process time, which that is, there's a big hindrance for people on that one, but it is worth it. And that's what you have to determine as a company. We can't decide that for you. You have to decide, is working on this GSA schedule, is the market for my product or service big enough that it's going to be a return of investment for me. All right. You have to decide that for your own. All right. Success is not guaranteed because you have to put in the marketing efforts and networking efforts and those things. And then we already talked about why you could get canceled. And then what's the good news for anybody? I don't think we had anybody on here in particular selling products, but knowing that your price list and everything would go on GSA Advantage, that is a big thing. And then you would have to keep up with it. Okay, but it is global. In fact, when everybody on here, to everyone, once you have a GSA schedule, you can accept work wherever you want, but you will basically be out there too. You will be global to the world. Eyes will be upon you is what I'm trying to say. Okay. All right. So the application process, you have to be in SAM. All right. Fully aware that there are issues sometimes with SAM on this unique entity identifier. If any of you have encountered those, here's what I'm going to just say one thing about this. If you put in an incident ticket, just be patient. They're working on it. They're working hard as they can to get all that caught up. It is taking much longer than usual, but do not open multiple tickets. Stay with one ticket and reference the one ticket each time. Okay, that's what I want to say about that. That'll help you get your problem solved a whole lot faster. All right. We used to have DUNS numbers, but we don't anymore. You will not hear that or see it anymore. It's unique entity identifier. If you do not have a business plan, I advise you to create one because it helps you stay organized and on track and see what's going to, kind of plan out your future. Find the appropriate, when they say solicitation in the e-library, they're talking about your category on GSA schedule, and that's what I'm here to do is help you. You do not, I need to take that out. I was tried to update this. You do not need that digital certificate. And then I'm going to show you how to access that application in just a second. You will complete Pathways to Success training, and then you can respond to the solicitation in its entirety and then submit your offer. Now, I'm going to tell you something that nobody else tells, all right? The fact is that everything goes good. We got a lot of help getting us there on the e-offer. I love the e-offer because it lets you save, and you're a small business owner, so you can't just, if you have to stop, you can save your work and then go back to it, all right? But once it's there and it's ready, and they say, are you sure the preponderance of your work is going to go to professional services? And you say yes, and you hit submit or you pick them, then what happens is it goes in the queue and then it starts processing. But there is no tracking system. That's what I want to tell you. There's no tracking system. So you have to then sit back and be patient and wait. Okay. We have no way of tracking it once you hit submit. All right. So that's why I like to offer a lot of help so we don't hit rejections. You need more information type stuff. And those things do happen. And if they happen to you, I'm sorry. I just feel so bad because it does happen to people sometimes, but we can correct things and get it to move on. So just wanted to throw that out. All right, now these are examples of DUNS. Once again, no DUNS, it's UEI, but SAM and your NAICS code, these are some of the registrations. Creating a business plan, I'm giving you a website so you can look at this. The SBA does a fabulous job of giving you a template. And you can work on that. These are some of the certifications. 8A, HubZone. If anybody on the line is already 8A, here's what I'll tell you about the GSA schedule process. It's easier. Getting on GSA schedule is easier than 8A. Okay? I know that is a process. All right? So, HubZone, woman-owned, veteran-owned. So SBA, these are some links that will get you there. You can have multiples. A lot of people think they have to have one. No, no, no. You can have as many as you qualify for, okay? Some take a little longer. 8A is a program and takes a minute. Woman-owned business is worth, if you're a woman-owned business, it takes a little longer to get approved. And right now, I think they are also running behind on those. I'm not sure. I haven't heard of the past month. But it's worth it because many of these areas right here can be used as what we call set asides which really puts you in a whole different category as far as the competition market is concerned. Now, we want to make sure you're in the right schedule. You can do that by doing all the processes we talked about, the e-library, all right? And if you're just not sure, send me an email, call me, and we'll try to get you in the right area. And the PTAC office can do the same thing. We'll make sure you're going to be in the right, on the right category. This talks about responding. And once again, it's just kind of reiterating some of the information that you're going to have to do. Remember to use exact information. And if your small business chooses to pursue a GSA schedule, that some of these things can be the most consuming part of the process. And they're talking about the GSA price list, the commercial price list, and that is the most consuming part. But we've got templates now. I'm going to show you that in a second. So we've got all of these things to make this a little easier. This is the proposal review explaining to you what happens and why it takes 120 to 180 days. It's federal government. This is a federal government contract. So we have to verify, verify, verify. Okay. So it does take a long time. So these are some of the things. And then at the end, when everything's said and done, they will arrange a time to talk to you and call you about price negotiation. And this is for your protection to make sure you haven't gone too low or you're not going too high. Okay. Same thing. There's the final proposer. Proposer. Final proposal revision. And then, of course, you will get your GSA award. And then this is where people go, okay, now what? You know, I've got it. I'm ready to go. You know, and how do I find who I'm supposed to be selling this to? Once again, I'm going to show you a few marketing tools today, and then the class that I offered will go in depth. If you want to be on it whenever we offer it, you come prepared with your NAICS code in your pocket. We'll probably collect them ahead of time so we can look. I've got a way to look for 10 years if you want to at who's had a GSA schedule contract, but you can pinpoint names of contracting officers so you can find out just tons of information. Okay. So this is the site I'm going to show you this. This is the link, and when you get the slides, you'll be able to cut and put this in your favorites, because what's going to happen is that link brings you to this. This is my favorite thing of all time. I love my job at GSA, as you can tell. Okay. However, this is one of the greatest things they ever did. They took everything from finding the NAICS code for a startup to make sure you're in the right area, to finding, which is up here at the top. Okay, there's my little arrow. So you in the middle, we'll start in the middle. All right. This gives you a whole idea, gives you a whole spreadsheet to make sure that you're in the right NAICS code. And another tip about NAICS code, if you have a new product or you think, am I really, what matches what I'm doing? You can Google that. You can use Alexa. You can do anything, okay? Do you Bixby and say, what's the NAICS code for? I do it all day long, okay? So, and it does work. And then I verify the NAICS code. But this is a good way. This is the official government spreadsheet of all the NAICS codes if you're questionable about that. If you've been in business for a long time, I would advise you to go on this spreadsheet and put the one you're using in there to see if it's changed. Because when that consolidation was done to one schedule, some of the NAICS codes slightly changed, all right? So this is the way. Now, right here where it says MAS solicitation, that is the link that takes you, and yes, all those solicitations for but it's really an application / application are loaded in SAM, but this link right here will take you to the actual application. Now, one of the things, they also consolidated, some of you have done business for a long time, might remember when it was fbo.gov, and then they said, oh no, we're going to consolidate things and we're going to change it, it's going to be beta.sam, okay? Well, then in the long run, in the very end, it became sam.gov. Well, there was so much data that was being transferred over, the templates got lost in the shuffle. All right, and people had so much difficulty. They were all over the internet trying to find the templates. This is a screenshot, but right here, on this one page down below here is every template you're ever going to need. So you got next, application, templates, one page. This is the roadmap. All right. This is the roadmap. So you say, well, Jan, where are the instructions? Okay. So you're going to come over here where it says MAS roadmap. And yes, I do advise you to read all of these things. All right. It's going to talk about getting prepared. That's our word, readiness. Remember, being prepared is what's going to make all those blackout curtains open up. Okay. So, and it won't be that daunting at all. But this is where it starts with prepare, and it's going to tell you how to go and take that course. Remember earlier we talked about pathways to success and possibly doing the readiness assessment to see if this is right for you. All right. So, and then we get down to here. And when it gets down to here, this is where it is. Okay. This is where my favorite part comes in, because it's going to give you everything you ever need to know. And when it says gather the information, when you click on that link, what happens is it's going to pull up a checklist of everything you ever need to do on your e-offer. Okay, everything. All right. And then down below that checklist are explanations, definitions. That's why it's my favorite. Okay, because it's written in a user-friendly kind of way, so that you can understand it. And if you don't, you can always call me. So for example, if you're selling a service, one of the things it says on there on the checklist is something that won't apply to you, like supplier letters. Well, you're not going to need that. Okay. So you're not going to need it. So my advice is, if you get ready to do this, if it doesn't say skip on that e-offer, then you need to say NA. Don't leave anything blank. That if it says skip, you're fine. But if it doesn't, put NA. Okay? Because it's kind of like a SAT test or something. It just doesn't hit well. They may say, well, wait a minute, now we need more information, and it slows the whole process down. All right? So that's what's under gather information. Then MAS scope and templates is right here. And then when you get down to finalize, what it's going to tell you is how to set up your e-offer account. All right. And up here at the top, it also talks about the e-offer. So you're kind of going to be ready to go. Very user friendly. And I love it, because when I first started this, people were doing this in triplicates in paper, hundreds of pages, and spending a lot of money mailing off triplicates here and there and everywhere. I mean, it was just a madhouse. So we're not in the paperwork. We're in a digital world now. So this is electronic e-offer, and it's going to explain to you. And then it explains to you here, once again, what's going to happen once you've submitted it and what to expect next. And then it's going to talk to you as a rule, telling you some advice for people that are on scheduled contracts, okay, and how to make that work for you. All right, so you can see this page, and they have a customer service desk and all these things. Sometimes I think they're being pretty good about getting you like a live person, but once again, I'm always here and I'm willing to help with that. It makes it so much easier. And I always tell people, if you call me or you emails work and text work, because many times I'm doing things like this, that'd be the only reason I didn't answer my phone. Okay, so any questions about this page? The link to this is either at the top up here or on the previous page. All right, so you want to do your vendor toolbox, and you need to do this one, and e-library if you're going to work with GSA, because I think that's key. All right,
I think we're good, Jan. So I also I provided that link to everybody in the questions, and they're going to also get that link in the PDF version of the presentation that will be going out to everyone as well.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so these are some additional resources. All right, you can always go there and look at some extra things. Once again, some more. You can see a world without a PTAC office. I don't know what we ever did before that, you know, because that is one of the greatest things that's even on this page. All right, but these are all others, and there's many, many more. All right. Now, social media, before I was doing this intensely with all of you guys, I was not a tweeter. I guess that'd be, I don't know if that's the correct term, but I wasn't on Twitter. Let me say that. But the one I am on is the one that says GSA Schedule, that one, because every day that office has such great information. If NAICS codes have been changed, if there's an event, all those things. We also have a YouTube channel. Everything is gsa.gov that we use, and they're very informational, you know, and they've gotten real good about keeping all of that updated. The Interact website is for you because that, whether you're on GSA or not, this is for you as a vendor. Now, you do need a user ID and password for this one, but they will give you one, okay? This is great because there are document libraries in there. Sometimes you're wondering, like, how do I fill in this document? What are other people doing? How did they handle this? Well, there's a document library in there that people have provided as public knowledge. It will also, that website list every single event, so which is great. Lots of free training and lots of where networking events are going to be. So anyway, these are just some extras. Now we're going to switch back to just these are some diagrams and paradigms, so you will have tools on this slide for the correct way to market in the federal government. Now, certainly all of you are successful already, so I'm not going to harp on this, but I do want to tell you in the federal government, because different government agencies are so different, identifying that target audience is really important, and having a plan, knowing how to handle it is very key, because one of the things, and right here, let me tell you something. For every government agency, everyone, whether it's Air Force, Army, even locally. So let's just say Tyndall Air Force Base. I'm going to use them as an example. Inside the contracting office, there is a person in there, a position that's called a small business specialist. Some people call them the small business coordinator, but there is that person in every group, and that is your target audience right there. If you want to get inside contracting, that person gets that role and works with SBA, with GSA, works with everybody to help protect you and make sure that you get awards, and they could see if they could use you for set-asides. They're also the person that sets up the networking events, listens to you on your capability briefs, or let you do a line card, and that person also holds an interesting website, one that everybody on this line needs to know for every agency. First, you need the small business coordinator, whether it's the VA, the Army, the Air Force, whoever it is, all right? And we can help you find that. And a lot of these people are on LinkedIn. That's a little tip for you, and Facebook. So just if you can't find them, that's just a little hint right there, okay? But every agency has what's called a long-range acquisition forecast. Long-range acquisition forecast. Every one of them has it. They aren't on, to me, when they give you the website, it'll be something that's completely different than what you might have thought that it was, and they're not easy to find by Googling. So it's important to find a contracting officer and ask those questions. Who's your small business coordinator? So you can get that information, all right? Usually those long-range acquisition forecasts will tell you contracts that are upcoming for the next 3 years, okay? So this is marketing, identifying that target audience, okay? Sometimes we also want to get to program managers. So if you're doing training and consulting, let's say on I'm just going to use HR, for example. Okay, so maybe there's some internal HR type consulting and training that you need to set up. Well, once you find that niche, then that's where you need to head, and you need those kind of opportunities. Okay. Now, understanding your NAICS code, by this point, everybody should, all right? Harnessing the data, we've been talking about it all day. I cannot tell you, I will tell you that I do hours and hours of market research, and I will do it for you as well. but you have to harness this data, and this is how you collect it, and you have a solid understanding of the federal market that you're going to target. So in other words, keep up with the news, find out what their budgets are. All this stuff is public information. All right. So you got to go into it knowing and know who the key players are. Sometimes the end user is great if you're going to do a credit card purchase, but when it comes to the big ones and those contracts that are like 1 year with 3 1-year options and the big stuff, then you need to know who the key players are in that and understand that the contracting officer is the key. This because we've got rules of competition. Okay, that's just a little contract one, but it's very important to know that, and it will help you find opportunities. Okay, now this is one of the tools right here. We're going to do this. We're going to go live. If you have never heard of Federal Procurement Data System, this is a system where the government is required by law, if they've spent $3,500 or higher, they're required to log that purchase into a system. So, but this is a great marketing.
Jan, I think we lost you. We can't hear you.
Tool for all of us that need to know who's got the contracts already. So these are awards, all right? So FPDS, for example, if you can't tell, I'm type A, so easy searches work for Jan, okay? Then you go to the right and hit date signed, which will bring up today and work backwards. Put your NAICS code in, hit the button, and you are going to be amazed. It will show you from today, you could go back 10 years at who did contracts. Now, you're not going to look at 10 years worth, maybe the last year, maybe the last 2 years. And when you click on whatever one you click on, it's going to bring the award document up, and you can see how long those contracts last. This is how I say we identify who to talk to, and we identify expiring contracts for those of you doing services. Okay.
So I'm going to throw in a caveat to what Jan has just said. There are some agencies that will not post because of the nature of their work. And that's where working one-on-one, either with the Jans of the world or the Maries of the world, we're able to kind of help you in those arenas. So.
Yes, good point. Thank you. She's absolutely correct. Right. So yeah, yep, she's absolutely right. Okay, more tools. Now, we've already talked about the e-library and the one on the end, FPDS, but the one in the mid. So let's say that you're a company and you're doing that, you're doing your readiness and you are trying to figure out how much money, is it worth it for me to get a GSA schedule? This is my second favorite thing right here. It's called the GSA Sales Query Plus. Great tool, because you can go in there and log in and get your, this is another one you do have to have a password for, but it's worth it because you can go in there and look at NAICS code sales for the past year or 2 years, and it will put it into pie charts. It will put it on a spreadsheet. And for you as a business, if you, let's say you need to have a discussion or you need a bird's eye view, is it worth it for what I'm doing? It gives you a business product. And for that, I love it. Okay, not just all over the place, willy-nilly and having to write notes in a notebook. No, it'll give you a business product. All right, it runs off a system that we use here all the time, because guess what? We do exactly what you do in my group. Everybody, for every agency in our area, we go through, it doesn't matter, it could be multiple, Department of Energy, Army, Air Force. We do tons of market research. We search through the expiring contracts. We do it for everybody, and we use this D2D to do it. That's how we do it. We look through everything, so we know what we're facing with our customers in the year to come. So all you've got to do is target your top ones, okay? But this is a system that is updated on just at every level, all right? And so I advise all 3 of these things, and these are some of the things we'll go live with. This is just our acquisition gateway. You can play with this if you want to. Some of the great things about this is that it has a calc tool and estimated, like a, if you're wondering what an independent government estimate is, or how a contracting officer finds an independent government estimate so they have an idea of how much something's going to cost, this is what they use. okay? And you have access to it as well. Now, marketing your company, just another little diagram. Now, this is talking more about the strategy, all right? And we've talked about all these things. It's very important to know who your competition is. It's very important to know the restrictions, such as what Marie just talked about, like why is it posted? Why can't I get more information? Different things like that. Problems, budget cuts, like government shutdowns. All of these things have to go into your factoring, and then along in a short-term strategy. I love marketing. I personally absolutely love it. And I love going in with a strategy, and they love it when you come in with one that you know how much of that product or service they're using, So this is just a little thing for you to have. Now, for every area, there's a customer service director. So in Florida, we have Angel Greilau, who does Orlando all the way down to Miami. We have Trey Tackling that handles the Navy over on the Jacksonville side. And then he's got more than that. He goes across the state and into Georgia. And then we have one more a guy, Jason Oliver, who handles like he does the Panhandle, like Tyndall, Panama City, and then all the way up at Eglin, those kind of places, okay? But anytime, so there's all kinds of help, and you can use that website to find out who to talk to. These are some of the advantages of being on schedule, and I'm not going to read all of them. I think the bottom one is very important because we are really looking hard at emerging technologies and professional services and innovative solutions. So these are some of the advantages. These are some tips for success. The only one I'm going to talk about on here is now that things are opening. Oh, first, let's talk about the very first one. When you see on SAM.gov sources sought, or you see seeking information, anything like that, always respond. Always respond. Even if you can't do the whole project, they're just looking for people that can do pieces or parts or all of the work. Okay, so always respond. It's good, just a little extra little marketing boost. Industry days, networking events. Of course, you want to pick the ones that are to your benefit. All right, a lot of good reasons to go. And then manage your time while you're there, because you want to make sure that if say that the wildlife people are there and the Army's there and the Air Force there, but for a fact that the VA is who's using what you're selling, then make sure you get on their list, okay, and get in with them. It's your opportunity to do networking and shake hands. And now we're getting out there more, and we're able to do it a little bit more. And then, of course, once you're on GSA, eBot is going to open another whole door for you. These are some additional sources and different links. Now, before we end, I want to talk to you about 2 programs. This says on here, IT category startup springboard. This is new, came about last summer, because we started off with this being IT, and it was developed so we could find people that had younger companies that were bringing corporate experience over, starting up these startup companies for IT, cybersecurity, and really bringing a lot of cool technology with them, okay? However, the government, they didn't have 2 years, and they couldn't get a GSA schedule because of the 2-year rule, right, the past performance. So what they did at GSA was create what's called, they started off with this as an IT category springboard. So, and it allows you to use your corporate experience rather than having past performance history with sales, okay? Just allowed a lot of different things. For financial documentation, you just needed something that demonstrated your company's financial responsibility, saying you had bank accounts and tax ID numbers and all that kind of thing. And this is not what normally happens when you do a solicitation or even try to get on GSA schedule. This is like for startups. So it was so successful. We were finding people. There's a lot of startups, people that leave big companies and bring it with them and can really provide a lot of innovative solutions. So they've taken the IT piece off. This is now MAS category startup, and it applies to everything that everybody does. Okay, so if anybody on here is a startup or knows one, they need to go down to that website and look at the qualifiers all right? And this, now, what's the great thing about this? They can award your schedule if everything goes well and they work with you one-on-one. So if they see that you have an innovative solution and you're a startup and you can provide something that we need, that a federal government customer needs, they will award you in 45 to 90 days. 45 to 90 days. You're accelerated, okay? Now, if you're already in business for 2 years or more, but let's say that you are, let's take that, I thought I heard like a training consulting company in there. Let's say that you have a customer, federal government customers, and whatever you're consulting or training on, they have to have it. It can't be, they want you on GSA schedule, and they have to have exactly what you're selling. And maybe even they've taught you about sole sourcing because you have something so unique. Well, there's another program that's, no, I'm sorry, that was a bad example. You're a good example for a springboard. IT. The next program is for information technology only. I apologize about that. Let's say you're IT, been in business for 2 years. There's a program called the Fast Lane. The difference between that is you can get a letter from a customer saying they have to have your IT work, and they have to have your products, your services. And if they'll give you a letter to that effect, you can also get accelerated on a GSA schedule. You'll do all the original things we talked about before, okay, but you're going to submit it differently. And if you qualify, then they can award you a GSA schedule within 45 to 90 days. So Fast Lane for IT, MAS category startup for everybody else, okay, for startups. All right, now, okay, and that is it. So I'll open the floor up for any questions.
Well, Jan, we've been answering the questions as
Okay, cool.
coming in, and just to remind everybody that the PDF version is under the handout section. You'll see that, but we'll also be emailing it out to everyone. The session is being recorded. This has just been a wealth of information. I always learn something from you, Jan. It's great to have you, be able to present and help us understand the whole world of GSA. So
Yes.
I think some key pearls of wisdom for everybody is that there are a ton of resources available. You have Jan's contact information. If you have questions about, GSA schedules, I think those of you who are my clients know that I always will hound you who you are, and what do you want to be when you grow up with regards to your company. You really need to know. That, and I think Jan has really called out a lot of the reasons why that's important, right? Because that helps with your NAICS codes, that helps with your product and service codes, that helps with the types of schedules that you want to go after as well. So it also helps with the marketing aspect of your business too, so who to go after. You don't know who to go after if you don't know who you are. Jan, any other pearls of wisdom before we wrap up? We have a big thank you from Mr. Richardson. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
So from Richwood International, and I'm looking forward to the next live. And hey, we're going to go over these reporting tools. That I'm a data geek, so I'm looking forward to that.
I know. Well, I know I've kind of emphasized that all that data a lot, but I got to tell you that so that everybody understands, every organization is data driven. It's just data driven, And I have listen, I've done this for so long. I will tell you, I don't know how many shoes I had to resole and these marketing things, because we used to go door to door now, let me tell you, and we don't have to do that so much anymore. But I'll tell you, even with visiting with customers, just know your customer. Really know your customer. If you need assistance deciding if even the whole federal government marketplace is for you, or you do something that you think, well, I'm not ready for a GSA schedule, we're all still here to help you. We'll still help you figure out how to build that up so you can get some past performance history. It's a good market.
Right. And I think that's the other thing that everyone should know is that we're a huge government contracting family of people, and
Yeah.
not any one person knows it all. That's why, you know, we love to work with other organizations because of the level of expertise, like the Jans of the world. You know, she's got a niche and she's amazing at it, and so we always want to pull in those people. So Jan, again, thank you so much for.
You're welcome. Just anybody that would like a one-on-one today, and don't get upset if I don't answer till late this afternoon or tomorrow morning, because today I'm training all over the place. So I don't know how it happened. Everybody wanted today. So,
I think
but just send me an email and I will get right back to you and we'll set something up. So thank you.
Okay, that sounds great. So I'm going to get ready to close this out here. So I'm going to hit the magic X for quitting. Everybody have a great rest of your week. It's getting close to lunchtime. So take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks.